Morning Crossfire with Sheriff to What's Up Lagos with Collins, Teke. And at noon, it's the Sunny Side with Joyce. Let's talk hard facts with Sandra Ezekwesili.
I will present a story the way that it was presented.
Femi and the gang bring the game on with day-by-day accounts of magnificent moments in the world of football. And we also keep it live and dangerous with Daddy Freeze. And finally, the chat station. All for your listening pleasure. Your number one station for talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Live from the heart of Victoria Island, you're listening to your number one station, 99.3 Nigeria Info.
You're listening to Jimi Disu right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Daily Digest with Jimi Disu. And this is Nigeria Info 99.3. In Lagos here, we are in Victoria Island broadcasting, but we're also on YouTube and we're on Facebook. I want to start the week with my very good friend. I haven't seen him, Libros, we haven't seen since the EndSARS saga.
Yes.
That's quite it's unlike the two of us.
That's true.
Everybody has been, but I've been getting a lot of your podcasts and things like that.
Yeah,
Brilliant statements I must make. So the reason why I wanted to hear Libros is for us to just have a conversation on what's going on, and for us to rub minds. By the way, I'd like to make a few announcements. First of all, is again to wish my uncle Jimi Disu happy birthday.
The
head of the family, Lori Ebi. Yes, he's 90 today. Libras alone, 90.
90. I'd learned to say you don't want to get to 90. Me, I want to reach 100.
No, I don't want. If I'm 65, I'm feeling this way. Let me go quick. After you will see go.
Anyway,
but happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday to my great uncle and Olori Ebi. Also, I'd like to congratulate my very good friend Babatunde Ogala.
Yes.
He made it to SAN.
Yes. He's been long overdue.
He's been long overdue.
Our friend, I like the fact that he's one person I respect so much because you see a lot of people go into politics and they find it difficult living.
Yes.
But, it's one of those lawyers who had gone into politics, like for my former boss too, Odujinri.
Okay.
Senator Odujinri is back to practice long ago. So he went into politics, was a member of the State House of Assembly, left, came back, and then went back fully into practice. And,
But Ogala never left practice, really.
Yeah,
his chambers were, in fact, they were growing whilst he was there.
Yeah, I agree. But there are so many people who will go into politics, their chambers will be growing. But when they eventually leave that political office, they find it difficult to even go back to court.
No,
but for him, immediately.
I've known that. I don't want to call him rascal because but I've known him from school.
Yeah, he's my brother-in-law's very good friend to Desmond Alufohai. So.
Oh, Alufohai.
Yes,
Did this Desmond Alufohai? Did he go to
Uniben? Yes.
I know him.
Yes, that's my brother-in-law. That's my wife's oldest
really?
brother. Yes.
And the funny thing is, I've not seen him since 76 or 77.
Yes, that's true. He's director protocol in Miami International Airport.
There's no contract to be given him, but do give him my regards.
I will.
I went to school with him. So congratulations, Ogala. There are two lawyers that I have my eyes on that I believe must make SAN, and I believe I asked one of them, do you want to go to the bench or do you want to make SAN? And he said he wants to make SAN. You are the one I asked.
Amen.
And I hope that the other person is GT Ogunye.
Yes.
Every time a new list comes up with SAN, I look to see if his name.
It's our prayer that soon we will also join. Even I have some senior advocates who are friends. One of them, from here I'm going to his office, Ken Ahia.
Yes.
We are the tribunal together, and that has been his prayer. It's like, look, you are this good.
But on paper, are you qualified? Have you met the requirements? Cases at Supreme Court?
No. no.
Oh, okay.
Because now that's why a lot of us now take on electoral matters. Because those are the cases that will go easily to Supreme Court and you know.
So how many cases are you short of now?
No, yearly. You do it yearly, not.
It's not a congregate thing.
No,
not
no,
an
no.
aggregate thing.
No. You do yearly, and so that's why, you know.
But there was a senior lawyer who passed away, Gomez, who believed that SAN should be scrapped.
Yes, I was part of that group also. I was
really?
part of his group.
Do you
yes.
believe it should be scrapped?
Yes, yes, I do. Strongly, because a lot of factors. It deprives some juniors, and then the allegations. I don't know how true of people, you know, having to, you know, bribe their way through.
Well, I've heard a bit of that too.
And then the fact that it also, like I said, deprives junior. You get a junior lawyer, and some matters I'm handling at the Court of Appeal, for example. You get to court, you have about 20 senior advocates in court, and they will all call their cases. And then maybe by the time they are done, it's 4 p.m. and the judges will say, well, we'll rise, we're tired, we'll rise. And so your matter that was supposed to come up today, they'll tell you for the next year, we don't even have, you know.
I had a case one time.
And so your client is frustrated. Like, if I had a senior advocate now, I probably would have, you know, my case would have been
Does it
called.
work out that if a case is on and a senior advocate walks in, you have to tell the other lawyer to step aside?
No, it depends on the judge, but ordinarily, once a senior lawyer is in court, his case will be called first before, even if let's assume that matters are already going on and then he walks into the court, the judge will conclude that case that is going on, and then
we'll conclude first.
Yes, we'll conclude that case, and then now ask the senior advocate which matter is interested in.
Will he rush to conclude, or he will conclude?
No, he will conclude.
He will conclude.
And then ask the senior advocate which matter is interested in. And if he wants to go on with another matter, he will just need to inform the senior advocate, please, let us seek.
But please know that in my prayers, yourself and GT,
Amen.
You know, there are two lawyers that I believe are deserving of a senior advocate. It's a pity in my profession we don't have any. We don't have any hierarchy.
You know, but that's why for some of us, for some lawyers, for some junior lawyers, they feel threatened by that, you know, sitting in front and ahead of them. But at the tribunal where you just wear suit and tie, so you see some of these people, they really, you know, that psychology is not that, that this is a senior advocate. Everybody's on the same
footing.
And so you see them. You know, their best comes out, you know, in some of these places, and because of the exigency of the matter, the time-bound nature of some of these cases also, a lot of us, you know, some of us even do them pro bono, pre-election matters, but these are matters that naturally would, before in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, you go to Supreme Court,
and you can record that case.
That's in the
Is it that you should be at the Supreme Court, or you should win the case at the
No. You take matters to Supreme Court,
and that's it.
Yes, not necessarily win.
Okay. Right. Let's leave legal matters. Let's leave that SAN matter to you lawyers to sort it out.
So that we don't make a nuisance.
But for those, I'd like an amen, you know, in the house for himself and for GT Ogunye, because the two of you are quite brilliant and very vibrant. Where were you during the EndSARS, whatever?
I was in Lagos, yeah.
Did you participate?
Yes, I did.
I see.
I did because
where? Lekki or
twice in Lekki, twice in Bagada, once in Ojota.
And what thoughts did you come out with?
Yeah, first and foremost, the one in Bagada, the first day I tried to organize, and I discovered that you know, I was too old. Yes, because they told me. They told me, say, look, because I didn't want them to block the express.
Okay.
I didn't want them to block the express. The police were there, very peaceful, and so I didn't want them to block the express. And so I spoke with some of the organizers. I took this particular young boy. I even went him later to report him to his father.
Oh.
Yes, I told him, I said, move this car out of the road, because if there's any trailer coming and heaven bless
the brakes fails,
the brake fails, you know, your car, he said, let it go, it doesn't care. And I said, no. Even his friends came to him and said, look, move this card. The boy took the mic and said, the older generations, if you can't support us, you leave us.
Really?
Yes. And so for me, I said, okay, these ones are younger generations. Now I'm older generation. Maybe I should move to the one in Lekki and then, just show solidarity, because also I feel the pain of,
I don't think there's anybody who doesn't feel the pain.
And, but I also believe that, a lot of things would have been better done than it was done.
I'm sure you're looking at the timing. Let me tell you my thoughts. My thoughts were that you should do it for 3 days and then look for another form of protest instead of just keeping it lingering and lingering and lingering.
It would have been difficult to do it that way.
Okay, what about for 4 days?
It couldn't
have gone on forever anyway.
No, it couldn't have gone on forever. It would have been easier also and then some people would have been discouraged. You say, okay, let's do it for 5 days, Monday to Friday, and then we'll take the weekend off. And then,
not necessarily. You look for what I was saying was there are other forms of protest, liberals.
Yeah.
Without having to hit the streets.
No, you can
keep it going.
No, you can hit the streets. You can hit the streets, like the Ojota protest. At the Freedom Square, vehicles were allowed to move. Vehicles were moving.
I see.
Vehicles were moving, and then even in Alausa, at the park in Alausa. Yes. So if you gather at such places, you just come, sit down, But for me, the blockage of the toll gates, I kept wondering how long that will last.
Okay.
Because it can't be ad infinitum. Because there are people also who would want to access in those areas and who won't be happy that you block a major road that leads to the other side of town. It's like blocking Third Mainland Bridge every day.
Every day.
Even as a protester, you would also feel the pain of all of that. So for that, I think that some of those blockade 2-3 days for that, and then you can move to other places where the impact will not be so felt
on the general
public. And like they did in my area in Bagada, they'll tell you, tomorrow, Saturday, we are coming out on this day to the express. And then they create a narrow pass, even though there was construction going on, they create a narrow pass for vehicles. And then the first 2 days, I saw the power of communication. Also, I saw the fact that some of the boys were able to control the so-called area boys. Because yes. Because the first day, some of the area boys wanted to. I think they started obtaining money from motorists. And then I saw the organizers. A lot of them just came out. No, this is not what we came for. We are not here to suffer those who are already suffering. Ours is just to make a statement and then leave. And so they controlled those boys, stopped them, and I saw a lot of them seated by the road drinking.
But don't you think that it was inevitable that it would be hijacked?
Yes, it's protest in Nigeria. Hijacking, I wouldn't want to use the word hijack because everybody would protest depending on what you are protesting for. A lot of people came out for various reasons. The hijack, I do not, if I say I'm protesting.
Can I explain what I mean by hijack? Sorry. What I mean by hijack is where you have more people who are not ready to, follow what is being said and what is being done, and have come out for other reasons, leading to riots, and that's what I meant by the word hijack.
No, that's why I said that like I said, I was in at the toll gate, Jota, Bagada, and then Alausa. If the protest had gone the way it was going, there's no way anybody would have hijacked it, because what you just do is to come join in the protest. Depending on what you are protesting about.
Okay.
And so you join, and then there were organizers. And like I said, I talked about the Bagada one, where some boys wanted to hijack by obtaining people.
Yes.
And so, but the boys immediately called them to order and said, no, this is not what we came for. Even employed security. And so it was difficult to hijack at that point. But the moment it became rowdy, and then you disperse the organizers. It's like you kill Goliath, everybody to your tent to Israel. And so everybody becomes a free-for-all.
Let me ask you, do you think that there was a deliberate move by some persons or agencies to disrupt by bringing about the violence to provide an excuse to clamp down on that protest?
No, they did not envisage the violence that ensued after that clampdown. They couldn't have envisaged it. You also would not rule out the fact that politicians would tacitly support.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
now you're getting to it.
Yeah, because like they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if you didn't win election and you felt you would have done it better, and now people are protesting, bad governance, you would naturally say, yes, I said it. These people are not good enough. They are not as good as I am. You guys keep on protesting. But if the shoe were in the other foot, if you were in government, you probably wouldn't have accepted that protest. And so once that happened, you would have support from these politicians who felt they would have been better, if they were in government. And then secondly, government, you would not expect government to fold its hand ad infinitum when, there is protest consistently, roads are blocked. I probably thought that, engagement would have been better. Where I fought some of these issues, you say, there are no leaders to talk to. But you can hold town hall meetings with stakeholders in the area who will in turn call their children to order.
Well, what about the strategy of not having a leader or leaders?
Because of what is happening now. Now, because government, I listened to Amici and he said something, that video went viral at that time. Very instructive. That, elites don't protest. When you protest, once we deploy the soldiers, the police and the rest, you run and leave the street. But the miscreant won't leave because they have nothing to live for. And so I believe that was the method that same old method of harassment and intimidation that the government wanted to use, and it backfired on them. And so those people who had nothing to live for, and once you just hear that, some of us were killed, and they go on rampage. And
so you think it's the killings that caused the rampage?
Yes. Because even in Orile police station, what we learned was that the DPO shot at 2 persons. I don't know how.
You don't know how true that is.
And so then the people went on rampage. In my area, the area boys, the people we call area boys, were the ones that came out. The OPC were the ones that came out to block the road, to stop the other people. Only God know where they came from burning the police station. And so you
really
yes,
that's touching.
Yes, and so we now had this so-called area boys on the street on that day. A lot of them were on the street, even though they were harassing some persons, but they ensured that they kept vigilance and they protected the area. And so that's why we didn't have the kind of, even though a lot of destructions went on Dia Street, but that's why we didn't experience the kind of burning that we saw in other places. I learned that they attempted to even go to burn the police station, unprovoked. But the boys in the area all came out also and said, no, this can't happen. Just the same way, if you remember when they said the 1 million boys during the COVID lockdown, 1 million boys were reading.
Yes.
The boys in Oworo came out to say, look, where are the 1 million boys? We also, if there are 1 million, we are 2 million. We'll protect our hood. And so that's why, for me, I think, how do you solve situations like this? Ensure that you have, consistent interaction through town hall meetings with, everybody. Imagine if you hear that the honorable representing your area is coming to hold a town hall meetings with, stakeholders in the area. You come and you interact. Even if you can't talk to the youth, you talk to their parents, they go back home and talk to their children. So that would have been a better alternative. And gradually, you see people saying, okay, government has promised us, unlike when you just go on radio and say, we have accepted. And like we say in law, once trust is broken, it takes time to fix. And so if over time you have accepted and then you now say you've accepted, it will be difficult for people to trust that you accept.
Okay, we'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll look at, I'm going to be asking Libros to talk about how the government has reacted to this crisis since then. And we'll look at that issue. And we'll look at some other related issues with the EndSARS report. So don't go away. Our lines will be open 00993993993, and Twitter also, Nigeria Info FM. So don't go away, and we'll be right back.
It's okay. No, it's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. She off your mic.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info, your mic is always on. Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Don't touch that dial. Daily Digest returns in a moment.
Message to
For booking.
guy. Now find out. The Minute Game Show. Just call into any of our shows. The Morning Crossfire, What's Up Lagos, The Sunny Side, and Hard Facts. Answer as many questions as possible within 60 seconds, and we'll be giving out 50,000 naira every week. Yes! 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 Winners will be announced on Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekrisili. Just a minute. The game show for everyone on your number one station for talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
This is Daily Digest with Jimi Disu.
Yeah, you're welcome back to Daily Digest with Jimi Disu, and I have my good friend Libros Oshoma, a son in waiting, himself and GT. I hope GT is okay. He was under the weather over the weekend. I hope he's much better now. He's much better now. Now, do you think the government has handled the aftermath well? Let me tell you what I'm saying. They seem to be arresting some people. These were people you negotiated with anyway. Now you're arresting them. Do they see them as an enemy of the state, or do you think there are some hidden things that government is not telling us? They really should tell us and explain to us why all these arrests are taking place.
That's why I always tell people, in the absence of information,
yes,
rumors thrive.
Yes.
And when rumors start to thrive, even intellectuals are turned to conveyor belts. And so government should never at any time give lacuna for non-information.
Yes.
There should be information consistently. And so people will always say, yes, government has said this is... But unfortunately here, I spoke with one APC top man up there, and I spoke, and our discussion, dovetail into Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister for Information. And he told me, Alhaji doesn't have information to give. And so for me, it was very instructive. When the protest started, like I said, government should have done far better by asking all the elected officials from states to local government to federal, go back home and negotiate and discuss with your people. Go discuss with them. Let's begin to engage. Let's talk with people. Let's change the narrative. That wasn't done. And now you said, you've accepted 5 for 5 and that you're going to do something. You've changed the name from SARS to SWAT. You're even training people. You've deployed about 750 policemen for training and, And then after that, the impression is that it is your action, your deployment of military, your deployment of thugs in the street of Abuja that led to, the burning of properties, provoked people. And then allow breakdown of law and order. At that point, government should be sober and sit down and say, yes, we don't want to lose focus. Yes, there are some persons we must look for, people that caused this mayhem. Laws must be obeyed. But to now begin to go after the people, the leaders you said you were looking for to discuss with, now you have found them, to begin to go after them, for me, it means that you were never sincere from day one. Remember, I talked about trusts. So what that further does for you is to further breach that trust that even a few had, in you. And then, if you look, last week you talked about this first information sheet filed in Abuja by one Kenechukwu, and then I looked at it and I laughed. Ordinarily, by the penal code, by the provisions of the penal code now in the north, criminal code in the south, but they have been unified by the administration of the Criminal Justice Act and the laws of the Federation. And so by that provision, a policeman ordinarily could file a first information before a court, before a magistrate, alleging that the person named in that first information have committed, offenses and that they should be charged. And the magistrate will review the proof of evidence, and if a prima facie case has been established, will now file a charge, draft a charge to be filed. Or a private citizen can do that. But in this case, what they did is, if that first information were filed by a policeman, it would have been, you see, the same police that Nigerians are protesting against.
Yes.
So the same police are the one looking for the leaders of the protest now to charge. So they had to use a private citizen. And then to tell you how, that I'm talking about government now, to tell you that somebody somewhere is not thinking. Every court has what they call territorial jurisdiction. Territorial jurisdiction in the sense that your jurisdiction does not extend outside your territory. So if you're talking about the magistrate court in Abuja or the FCT High Court, it is offenses that are committed within that magisterial jurisdiction or within the jurisdiction of the High Court, and not an offense that you think were committed in Lagos. That some persons met in Lagos, connived, yes. And then they protested in Lagos, or they joined the protest in Lagos. And then you now file a first information in the magistrate court in Abuja, asking that the magistrate should review and charge them. When you look at that, and then coupled with the fact that you are indiscriminately arresting, some persons to the extent that you arrest, somebody, the application, the counsel filed an application for bail, or moved an application for bail orally. The court says, no, file written application. And then the counsel have filed a written application before the court. You now go to another court and file an application before another magistrate to keep that same person whose application for bail is already pending in another court. So the implication or the impression you paint is that you have learned nothing and you're not ready to give justice. Mind you have set up panel of inquiry to inquire into... And
you agreed 5 to 5
for 5.
You
agreed 5 to 5. You say, no, let's look at the whole issues and how we can make it right. And then, while that was going on, you instructed banks to freeze accounts of account holders. I took at Edopita side, the chairman of Stanbic IBTC, to say, no, the banks can't do this because they are going to be faced with litigation. Immediately, the CBN rushed to court to get an ex parte order to freeze accounts for 180 days. Meanwhile, the people whose account you are freezing were not party to the suit. And the banks can't refuse, because if they do, the CBN hammer will come heavily on them, just the same way broadcasting organization hammer came heavily on some media houses. So
yes.
Because the CBN is a regulator, and so they might even withdraw your license for the time being.
Well, now that you've gotten to that point, it brings me to one thing I wanted to talk about, and that's the particularly Access Bank, because there's a lot of campaign against them, and people are saying, oh, they should close their accounts and so on and so forth. We need to understand the environment in which we operate.
Yeah.
If the CBN gives a bank an order, believe you me, you don't obey that order, they could shut you. You could go to court later.
Yeah.
But you could be completely shut down.
That's why for me, the two things first I would say, like I kept telling people.
Yes.
While it's our fundamental right to protest, but also we should also remember that when we protest, destruction of public properties is not our fundamental right. And when we destroy these properties, we are the ones that will suffer. In the same vein, while it is our fundamental right, to be heard in any matter that concerns us, whether shutting down our account, people should also remember that the banks will not ordinarily tamper with your account. And if the CBN gives such instruction, this is not in America where the bank can say, no, I can't do this because this is not the rule. You will comply before you complain. It's a military mentality. And if the banks fail to comply, what they will do it might even be worse than just complying. And then when they do that, it's our brothers and sisters that work in these banks.
Exactly.
It is our brothers and sisters, or some of us that have accounts in these banks, and your monies are trapped there.
So now there your money there.
No, my money no get plenty. So our monies are trapped.
I thought it was touched abroad.
Yeah, they were not getting one abroad. And so some of the monies will be trapped there. And then the bank will now be spending money to ensure that they fight a matter. And we know the snail speed of our judicial process here. So that's why I think that this campaign against Access Bank,
yes.
People should rethink that campaign, because it was beyond Access Bank. And then also, the CBN, they do not have a right under the law. You can't grant an ex parte order to freeze an account for 180 days, because ex parte order by their very nature ordinarily ought to last maximum 14 days, except extended by the court. And in cases where the party that whose order was granted against was not a party to the suit. The court, including the Supreme Court, has consistently held that the adjournment should not belong to, not to breach the right of fair hearing of that person. So, and then you can't use an ex parte order to freeze somebody's account when you have not even heard him. And then we're talking about a situation where a country where some people have been tried for sponsoring, financing Boko Haram in United Arab Emirates as far as 2015, and the CBN had not freezed any of the accounts, had not instructed bank to so do. So the impunity with all of them, because the question is, the aftermath of the protest. So the impunity is becoming too much, and the only fact, the only conclusion any reasonable man can draw is that government had not learned anything, and all the panel of inquiry that they set up were just window dressing. And then lastly, so that you can take your phone calls, the army of unemployed young people I saw during the protest, it's like, and if government fails to do something, it's like, leaving fire in a keg of gunpowder and then you cover it up. And when it explodes, it might be worse than what we saw before.
Yeah, it definitely could be worse than that. I'm glad. I think in protesting too, we need to think deeply. I was one of the things that bothered me was why Access was singled out when other banks also did so likewise. Because my money did it.
I don't have money there, but I see. Nigeria is it's people doing business in Nigeria. You need to praise them, because Nigeria is not a good place for doing business. The rules are obeyed in breach, and so once you're a regulator, also the regulators believe they can do and undo.
But we all of us face it in all our industries, even in the media.
Yes,
I'm not indicting NBC. I'm not indicting anybody.
I'm indicting the NBC.
No, I can't.
I have listened to the acting DG of NBC, and it was so arrogant.
No, you can't say that, liberals. Yeah, lawyer, you should know better than that.
His utterances were.
Yes, let's just leave that. But what I'm just trying to say is that the atmosphere in which all professionals operate, and I usually tell my listeners there is what should be and there is what is.
Yes.
And in anything you do, you must apply wisdom.
That's true.
So I plead for understanding to a lot of our people to weigh these things before we talk about them. Now, do I have a caller? Hello? Hello,
good morning.
Morning.
Uncle Jimmy.
Yes.
Good morning, Liberals.
Good morning.
This is Pastor Ladipo calling from Orile Igom.
Yeah, Pastor.
Yeah, Uncle Jimmy, my take in all these things, I think the judiciary needs to be up and doing, especially our judges.
Yes.
Sometimes when these people come for this kind of a thing, they need to also tell them to their faces. At least there are judges we mentioned in Nigeria today. People will take an ovation. When they will tell you this man knows his audience, and he will tell you straight to your face, how can you freeze people's accounts and not go back to and a judge will issue that kind of this thing. So please, the judiciary needs to help this democracy.
Yes.
They are allowed the politicians to buy them over.
Okay, thank you. Well, let me tell, before I turn on to liberals, let me tell you something that I've come to terms with. We're living in a dysfunctional country. Let me be honest with you. And the judges are not any different from other Nigerians. Most Nigerians now are becoming dysfunctional. You have more emotion than reason in the things that we do. It cuts across.
Yeah.
The judges are not going to be any different. Lawyers are guilty. Journalists are guilty. Doctors are guilty. Everybody, because the truth of the matter is that this country is breaking down bit by bit, inch by inch. Liberals, what do you think?
Yeah, the rules are, like I said, the rules are obeyed in breach. And like Fidel Castro once said, in a state of lawlessness, it becomes illegal to be law-abiding. And so I think we would not get to that state where, everybody will be a free fall.
No,
But
we are
but
very
the
close
way-
to it.
But the way we are going,
We are very close
we are
to it.
very, 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 very close to it.
Liberals.
And that, now sentiments, would rather reign than reason and law, especially when the law enforcer is the lawbreaker.
Let me tell you something that bothers me. If you know the number of conversations I have with a lot of learned people who believe that there is no salvation for this country. They believe that what you saw during the EndSARS whatever is a yellow card.
That's true.
A second yellow could jolly well be on its way. They believe that, like you said, that the government doesn't seem to realize these issues in full. What I find in government and in some public space is lack of deep thinking, strategic planning.
Yes.
Emotions.
True.
When I heard in the president's speech, for example, that when we said 5 for 5, they thought that it was a sign of weakness. I knew there was something coming. I knew there was something coming.
Before then, there had been a lot of call by well-meaning Nigerians on the president not to allow himself to be talked into deploying the military. And because people were already getting the feelers that this was going to happen. And so that you can walk this talk if only you understand the dynamics. Because we didn't just get here to where we are today. A lot of things, a lot of misgovernance led to where we are. And look at today now, we're talking about leadership. Nobody's looking at INEC. As we speak now, there is what I call the scramble for the partitioning of INEC. And so you see all of the interests, the various interest groups within the ruling party, angling for the control of INEC. And that is the only clearinghouse for political leadership in Nigeria. And so if you do not get INEC right, your leadership, it will be difficult to get it right. Before you become a journalist, you'll be trained as a journalist. Even if you read another course, but you must go for that training.
Yeah.
But here, this is the only place you can become a leader without being trained to be a leader. And so, not to also tell you how daring they are. While all of this were going on, they nominated Loretta Anoche as National Commissioner in INEC. And then we're now asking the rest of us, produce her APC card. She's not a member of APC, produce her card. That's the sentiment that you're talking about have taken
and lack
over.
Of deep thinking.
Lack of deep thinking. You sit down and say, okay, now, it is years of bad governance that led us to this place. Between now and 10 years, what are our strategic plans to ensure that we move beyond this? Our governors are not thinking. We don't even have local government chairmen, so not to talk of the ones that we think. The House of Assemblies are appendages of the governors. And you have senators who are more interested, lawmakers who are more interested in what they will get from performing oversight functions than actually making law and insisting that these laws will be obeyed. And then you have a judiciary whose appointment these days is shrouded in man no man, that people, even lawyers, will query the appointment of judges. I still go back in time and I read books about the Ogudares of this world, JSC, the Fatai Williams of this world, and the Kayode Eshos of this world, the Otutu Obasekis, the Oputa GSC, and then
Oputa,
and then you ask yourself as a lawyer. Some of us read law because we feel that law would be in a vehicle for social engineering to give you a platform to be able to reach out and make things right. But today, you see that same profession, people use it to oppress and harass.
Sorry to cut you short. When you mentioned all these names, when was the last time we had a president that you and I could look up to with I think the last one on my own plate would be Gawan, because I was alive and well when Zeke. When Zeke talked, like you feel he was called Zeke of Africa.
You see him. I still have clips of some of these speeches.
Tafawa Balewa
from this. I listened to Tafawa Balewa recently also. And I asked myself, Nigeria, where did we miss it?
Did we miss it?
These are people who could interact with you without having to read from a prepared script. And then sometimes, just this morning, I was discussing with somebody and I said, as bad as Jonathan was, even all those his media pally, for me, they were all charade. Now we don't even have
again at all.
You know, it is so bad now that, you know, you see other presidents interact and discuss with people. And even governors, you see governors now reading from prepared script. You can't sit down and engage a governor, you know, in an interview and he will come out smoking. You know, with facts. The last time I saw was a Fashola. But Fashola went to the center and he became the far removed and he became Shola.
Let me ask you very quickly. Do you think, this is a funny question, but it should set people thinking. Do you think that there is something at that center that affects your personality when you do get
Yes,
there?
a lot.
You reckon?
Yes, a lot. Because what happens is we are not operating. We have, Nigeria is a big local government where the president is the local government chairman. He holds the yam and the knife. He gives whoever he wants. And so you find out that when you get there, you are easily overwhelmed by the sycophants. And the worst persons at the center are not people in power, but those are the corridor of power. And so you're overwhelmed by the corridor of power who are there for what they want. And so the moment you want to do it, why do you think you could see a difference in government?
Yes.
Not funny. When there was the so happy. He visited Port Harcourt, visited the governor, had jokes and banters with him. He was in Owerri. And then everybody calmed down, including those who were the opposition. Said, look, we never seen a man like this. You know, he could relate with everybody. Irrespective of, you know, party affiliation. He could sit down with intellectuals and formulate policies and do deep thinking. He could also sway with those who are carried away by sentiment. And say, okay, for now, so as to douse tension, let's take this decision while we are thinking through the process. But the people at the corridors of power didn't like this.
Now, very quickly, just before I go, so I have 2 more minutes. Talking about this, there seems to be unspoken force or forces, even in government, who we don't seem to have a centralized government with where the buck stops at a table.
No.
For example, some of these things you're saying, the decisions could be haphazard.
Yes.
Even the man at the center might not know anything about it.
Yeah, because when you have a lot of people had said that the president is not in charge, and his actions, utterances, and inactions have shown clearly that he's not in charge. And so because we operate this kind of monarchical presidency, where the father can do no wrong. Everybody see the president as the father of all. And so he can do no wrong. Even when you criticize him in your bedroom, but you come out, you tell him you are the best thing to have happened to this country. And so once you have that kind of system of government, everybody will do their own thing. Remember quickly, Segun Adeniyi in his book said that there was a time somebody called him and said, I just spoke with the president and he has asked you to issue a statement in this regard. One would have expected, being a special advisor on media, that you'll be relating directly.
Directly, yes.
You'll be speaking the mind of the president, because when you speak, it is the president that is speaking.
Yes.
But if people can give you instructions to issue statements, it means that truly there's no central clearinghouse for information management.
Sorry, I'm rushing you because I want to extract everything from you. Finally, there seems to be a move amongst quite a number of people to leave the country.
Yes, I am one of them.
You want to leave?
Yes.
If you leave, I will leave. Oh.
Because I get calls every day. People tell me, look, this thing you are doing, be careful. But the moment people begin to tell you, be careful. I met some young army officers and they gave me an insight of the sleaze in the military. The sleaze in the military. That is why you will always have, chief of army staffs bury money in septic tank. And then they warned me sternly. They said, please don't talk about it. If you talk about it, they might kill you. And so when you have an environment like that, when even school children's cannot be guaranteed of school, as we're on strike as we speak now.
Yes, for almost a year.
Exactly. And then, you have relations in Canada and another country that they're telling you, even though there is no place like home, but I think, here I don't have to bother about kidnapping. I don't bother about having to run for, some bandit. I was planning to go to the village with my family or to Benin for this Christmas. But as I speak to you now,
You can't go anywhere.
Benin is a no-go area.
Buy yourself a one-way ticket to Canada. on that note, Libros, thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure.
You have set me thinking. Maybe I should buy myself a one-way ticket.
I'm telling you, if I have the money now, this Christmas I'm out of this country.
We'll see how that goes.
I'm begging Canada to come and give me asylum.
Asylum.
I'm begging them.
That's we will talk about that another time. I know where that is going. That's where we'll end it for today. It's been the Daily Digest with Jimi Disu. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to do Dear Bumi as usual at 9 with Kosi. Kosi is the customer service person at Lagoon Hospital in Ikoyi. And, since they saved my life not too long ago, I said, let me come. Now that I've been here for a while, let me drag you to my own territory. So Kosi is going to be here tomorrow. It's going to be here. I don't know her surname, funny enough. Everybody just calls her Kosi. So she'll be here to do Dear Bumi with me tomorrow. I've had quite a number of discussions with her, and I know you'll find it very interesting. So I got to go. Thank you very much, Zainab. Thank you very much, Philip. One more time, the Andrew who wants to leave town.
Yes,
I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.